There is no red, white, or blue in this country. The only color that matters is green because we live in the United Corporations of America.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Status Coup. My name is Ron Placone. I am your host. Filling in today for Jordan Cheriton. Jordan Cheriton is with his new family member. Jordan and their family is extended, so he is taking some paternal leave, and I get to fill in while he's on paternity leave, which has been wonderful. It's been awesome coming to you guys every Tuesday. It is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. My hair's doing a little weird flip thing today. I don't know. It's been doing that all day. I'm just kind of rolling with it. We got a wild show for you today. Wild's one way to put it. Elon Musk has a city now. That's just great. He has a city now. It's like he's starting a giant cult. We're going to get into that. Trump's deportation flights, they are happening. The first one just happened. We're going to look into that. Bernie Sanders calls out the Democrats. Kinda. Something happened on a podcast. Also, a Columbia University president was not greeted warmly by the students. And RFK Jr. Is a straight up eugenicist. We're going to look into the most recent eugenicist act from RFK's health position. He's in charge of the Department of Health. He has no medical degree, no science background whatsoever. He has a law degree and comes from privilege. And he's a eugenicist. Those are apparently his qualifications. And we're going to start today's show with a little bit of foreign policy. We have some Israel-Palestine updates here. Not pleasant updates, unfortunately. But please do smash the like button, tell your friends, share this stream, leave a super chat. It's just me today. I love to talk to y'all, so please do leave a super chat. I'll give a couple shout outs to what I can see on the sidebar. Ciao, Hale, como stai? Bene, what's up, Oodles? Good to see you. What's up, Travers? What's up, Reptile? What's up, Tony D? Those are the only things I can see on the side, but what's up, everybody? Good to see y'all. Let's go ahead and start with the Democracy Now! Piece, Colin. This is pretty intense here. The suffering is beyond description. Report from Gaza as UN warns 14,000 babies could soon die. So the UN has basically been begging Israel to let some aid in to Gaza. They've been begging them. So the UN's humanitarian chief, this is from Democracy Now!, Tom Fletcher, warned Tuesday that 14,000 babies could die in Gaza over the next 48 hours if more aid does not enter the besieged territory. The warning comes as Israel expands its military assault, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to take control of the entire Gaza Strip. And they're saying the suffering is really beyond description. Let's go to the BBC piece for an update, and then we'll go to the NBC piece as well here. Israel lets aid into Gaza after 11-week blockade, but UN calls it a drop in the ocean. So they're letting in a little bit, which of course is better than nothing, but it is being compared to a drop in the ocean. This is according to the BBC. Israel says it has allowed 5 UN lorries carrying humanitarian aid, including baby food, into the Gaza Strip after 11 weeks of blockade. The UN's humanitarian chief welcomed the move, but stressed it was only a drop in the ocean of what is urgently needed. 2.1 million Palestinians are in the war-torn territory, and global experts are warning of a looming famine. Netanyahu said his decision to temporarily let in a minimal amount of food followed pressure from allies in the U.S. Senate. We must not reach a situation of famine, both from a practical and a diplomatic standpoint, he stressed in a video in response to criticism of the move in Israel. Netanyahu said food deliveries would continue only until the Israeli military and private companies had set up hubs to distribute aid under a U.S.-backed plan rejected by the UN. So the U.S. and Israel is going to do whatever they want. They don't really care what the UN has to say about it, and the UN is saying this is not enough. This isn't enough. And this is being compared to a drop in the bucket. A drop in the ocean, rather. which isn't a lot. Drop in the ocean, not a lot, not enough. Let's see. Let's go to the other piece we have on this, Colin, to the NBC piece. Ex-Israeli general hits out at government for killing babies as a pastime in Gaza. I gotta say, I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not trying to. I mean, to just put a little bit of hope in here. I'm surprised that NBC has such a headline. I'm surprised to see something like this from the corporate media at all. So I guess that's all. I don't know. I don't know if that's really encouraging or not, but take that for what it's worth. Around 14,000 babies. We can go back to the piece now. Around 14,000 babies could die in the next 48 hours. So Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded with anger Tuesday after a former senior military official said Israel risks becoming a pariah state over the war in Gaza. A sane country does not wage war against civilians, does not kill babies as a pastime, and does not engage in mass population displacement. Little bit too late. Little bit too late for that as far as Israel's concerned. But wow. So a lot of people could die if nothing happens here. A lot of people have died, and the situation is dire, and the UN is begging them. The UN is literally begging them to let aid in. And the United States and Israel are saying, we're just going to do this thing. And the UN say that's not anywhere. That's a drop in the ocean. And Israel and the United States are saying, whatever. It's, I mean, the rest of the world is against what's going on. It is literally the United States and Israel. And I shouldn't even say the United States and Israel. I should be very clear. The government of the United States and Israel, the governments of those two countries, they are doing what they want. And the rest of the world, the rest of the industrialized world is saying, please, this is barbaric. This is brutal. This is a genocide. Please stop. Please stop. And man, foreign policy, it's, I got to say, it is not easy to talk about because it's really hard not to feel helpless. It's really hard not to feel helpless when you talk about this stuff because it's we don't really have the option to vote against it. I mean, we do, but they're not going to let that in. I mean, look, I vote third party. I voted for Jill Stein in California, and guess what? If every single person in the United States would have voted for Jill Stein or any third party candidate in the 2024 election, you know what would have happened? They would have said that Russia messed with our elections and they would have just redone everything. That's what would have happened. That's what would have happened. Like there's just no way. And I'm not trying to be discouraging. I'm really not. I'm just being honest that, we can't vote our way out of this. It's just not possible. I'm not saying that electoralism doesn't have its place. It does. But we need to fight for a better electoralism, first of all. And we can't just vote our way out of it. It's just not an option. And here we have the rest of the world pleading. And the United States and Israel go, nope, not going to do it. Nope. It's just, well, that's what an empire is. And the United States is an empire. We are the modern day empire. We know this. All right. So let's go to Elon's city. Elon has a city now. This is so cringe that you just gotta try to laugh about it or you'll go nuts. By the way, please smash the like button, share this stream. And if you are able, please do join us. You can go to statuscoup.com/join. We have different membership levels, a $5 a month and a $10 a month. For those of you who might be really new to Status Coup, my name is Ron Placone. I'm filling in for Jordan Cheriton. Jordan is on paternity leave, spending some time with his new family. Very, very excited. Congratulations to them. Wishing them all good wishes and good health. And in the meantime, it's been absolutely wonderful to be here with you guys every Tuesday. I really enjoyed it. It has given me a little bit of hope. and has made me feel a little better. Because if you're anything like me, and I'd imagine you kind of are, that's why you're watching this. Sometimes, being engaged with what's going on in the world is catharsis. And when you're around a group of like-minded people who see the absolute barbaric absurdity the way you do, it helps you cope with it a little easier. It just makes you feel just a little better, and it is encouraging for you to not give up and to keep fighting. I hope that's what's going on. You know what I mean? I really do. All right, so let's go to the KUT piece to start out. This is going on down in Texas. This is what Elon Musk is up to. Let's see here. Oh, I saw in the chat someone said, if you voted for Jill Stein, you just voted for Trump. I encourage you to learn how the Electoral College works, and then maybe keep that in mind next time you comment on anything. I live in California. Learn how the Electoral College works, and learn how different voting systems would change our system, and learn who is fighting for those systems. So you want to lecture me? Learn how the Electoral College works, and learn how, yeah. And also, if you want to wag your finger at somebody, how about you wag your finger at people who voted for Trump or people who stayed home? How about you wag your finger at them? And by the way, Kamala and Joe Biden also supported the genocide. So, you want to vote lesser of two evils, that's fine. But if you're going to wag your finger at me, I can wag it right back. Just so you know, I can wag it right back. Because if everybody, especially even just everybody who lived in a decided state, I don't use the word safe state because I don't think there's anything safe about the Electoral College, but everyone who lives in a decided state, i.e. a state that's going to be either red or blue no matter what people do, i.e. California, where I live, if everyone voted third party, if that was their politics, somebody would get to 5%, which means someone would get matching funds, which means we would be closer to things like ranked choice voting and getting money out of politics, which is how we have a better electorate. So, you want to make comments like that, learn how the Electoral College works. And I'm not going to wag my finger at you for voting for a genocidal candidate. But if you're going to wag your finger at me, I can wag it back. I can wag it back. Learn how the Electoral College works. Honestly, somebody more patient than me needs to explain it to you. It'll take somebody a little more patient than me. All right, let's go back to the story at large. This is why I don't really look at the chat much. This is why. City of Starbase becomes official at Elon Musk's SpaceX rocket site in South Texas. Oh, man. Oh, the city of Starbase is now official. This just sounds like a dystopian freaking novel plot, because it is. This is just a dystopian hellscape. But this isn't fiction, y'all. This is real. That's the sad part. On Tuesday morning, the Cameron County Commissioner's Court certified the May 3rd election results that created the new city near Elon Musk's rocket launch site outside of Brownsville. The approval occurred with no dissent. We congratulate Starbase, the new mayor, and the two new city councilmen, and wish them the absolute best. We look forward to working with them for the betterment not only of Starbase, but of Cameron County, Texas, County Judge Eddie Trevino said. While certifying the results, the commissioner stressed that they do not have the power to block the new city, even if they disagree with its creation. Each of us, when we take our oath of office, commit and swear to uphold the Constitution and laws of this country and of this state. We don't get to pick and choose which ones we are going to follow or not follow. Here's a lesson to learn from this, y'all. Local elections matter a whole lot. Local elections really freaking matter. Show up. Know who's on your school board. Know who's on your city council. Know who your mayor is. Know what amendments are going on, what ballot measures are going on. That is a lot heavier than stuff at the federal level. That's a lot heavier than commenting on a live stream when you demonstrate you don't understand how the Electoral College works. It's a lot heavier to make sure you're involved with local politics. So anyway, Each of us, when we take our oath of office, commit blah, blah, blah. We already read that. So that's exactly what we're doing here today. We understand that some people may disagree with it, may disagree with the process, but we follow the law, as did the individuals who wanted to incorporate. Only people who live in the immediate area were eligible to vote in the star-based vote. Almost all of them work for SpaceX. Gee, I'm sure that wasn't a skewed situation at all. So the election wasn't close. 212 voted for it and only 6 voted against it. I guess maybe those were the 6 who didn't work at SpaceX. There were 6 people who didn't work for SpaceX. They're remote workers. And now they got to live in a Elon Musk town. Musk, the SpaceX CEO, has wanted to incorporate the area around his rocket testing and launch site for years. Look at how here this is so sad. Look at this part, y'all. SpaceX will now have more control over this mostly rural spot on the Gulf Coast. The incorporation also gets SpaceX one step closer to gaining greater control over the nearby public beach, which must be closed for launches for safety reasons. So instead of having a beautiful public beach for people to enjoy, they're making it a playground for a billionaire to launch rockets. By the way, you know how bad for the environment one rocket launch is? Pretty freaking bad. And here, instead of having a beautiful public beach, and by the way, I've never been to this part of the Gulf Coast in Texas, but I have been to other parts of the Gulf Coast. It is a very, very beautiful area. And instead of having a nice public beach, it's just a rocket area for Elon Musk. It's just so sad. It is just so sad. Living in an oligarchy really is a drag, y'all. A bill pending in the Texas legislature would shift control over closures during the week from the county commissioners to star-based city leaders. Local activists are suing over the beach control issue, arguing the state constitution guarantees public access to beaches in Texas. 2 of these activists showed up at the commissioner's court meeting Tuesday to voice their opposition to the new city. They said SpaceX has been a bad neighbor that had polluted the land and blocked local access to it. No kidding. You are allowing a billionaire to come into our home and to be able to push you all around and buy you all out, said a representative from the South Texas Environmental Justice Network, which is one of the 2 groups who are suing. And I don't know if they'll really be able to go anywhere with this because, I mean, like they said, the city officials basically said they had to follow the rules. And it was just all these people that already work for SpaceX versus, I guess, 6 other people. That's so ridiculous. You know what this reminds me of? There's a documentary. I recommend it. It's a documentary series. It's only 1 season. It's called Wild Wild Country. If you've not seen it, I highly recommend it. And it's about this cult, basically. It's about this cult that took over this town in Oregon. Basically, this religious cult took over this town in Oregon, and they I don't want to give too much away because I want you all to watch it, but they basically just recruited people to come in and vote. And that's how they were able to take over the town. Like they were able to just sack the town because it was a small town. They just got everyone in there and they just said, hey, vote the way we want you to. We just doubled the population. Now vote the way we tell you. And that's how they got their way for pretty much everything. Check it out. That doesn't really, I guess that gives a little bit away, but it doesn't give much away. You should still check out the thing. But that's what this reminds me of. That is totally what this reminds me of. So let's go to the Politico piece, see if there's any additional things there. And then we're going to see a little bit of maybe kind of good news, sort of, before we get off the Elon Musk thing here. He's trying to colonize this community inside Elon Musk's plan to take over this Texas town. Driving down a long, empty stretch of Highway 4 in South Texas, there are a few indications that this windswept corner of the nation, bound by the Gulf of Mexico and the Rio Grande, is host to more than dense mesquite thickets and the ghosts of the Civil War. The land feels vast, unchanging, and decidedly apolitical, bigger than people altogether. That is, until a break in the brush reveals an enormous skull bust of Elon Musk staring into the distance. Jesus. Oh, my God. So there's this big thing at Elon Musk. Oh, God. That's obviously not the accurate portrayal, but then signs of political movement are everywhere. U.S. immigration and enforcement agents in bulletproof jackets flag down passing cars at an inland border checkpoint. A road leading off the highway reads Mars-a-Lago. I see what they did there. Mars-a-Lago. See what they did there? Oh my God, this is so cringe. 100 yards away, bookending an old black Studebaker parked for sale and a dusty pullout. Murals of Musk's face in the Doge Shiba Inu plaster 2 30-foot concrete towers. And finally, rising from the empty salt plains in the shadow of a towering rocket ship. This really does sound like a dystopian fucking hellscape novel. And subordinate launch vehicles sit homes and hangars, office buildings, and neighborhood streets. This is Starbase, the soon-to-be newest city in Texas, in Elon Musk's first company town. Oh, this is so depressing. This is just so depressing. I mean, this really is like this is just dystopian. And like you think about company towns of the past, and not that like I mean, I'm not a big fan of company towns in most contexts, but you think of ones from the past that have kind of worked out for an area, and I'm thinking of something like Hershey, Pennsylvania. A town in Pennsylvania that was just dedicated to the development of Hershey's chocolate, and Hershey's chocolate ended up working out. It's a pretty popular brand. So it's just a factory town all about the chocolate, and it still is. Now it caters more towards the history of it. I think they do still make a bunch of chocolate there, but it's more museums and exhibits. It's actually quite interesting. I've been there a couple times because I grew up in Pennsylvania, and you think it's meanwhile this is like just this dystopian high security hellscape that's just Musk's playground for trying to go to space. And there's a bunch of just security, and a bunch of public beaches are closed so he can just launch his rockets and pollute the planet while trying to get to another planet because he's rich and no one's stopping him. This is just so disgusting. But here's a little bit of good news. Let's go to that last piece on Musk. It seems like I will say this. At the end of the day, one thing that Elon Musk and Donald Trump do have, well, they have a lot of things in common, but one thing that is true about both of them that I think to an extent we can try to use to our advantage is they want to be liked. They still, through it all, they want to be liked. That's why Elon Musk doesn't straight up say, I'm a Nazi. He is a Nazi, but if he says that, he knows that's not popular. He knows, well, it's some of the areas online that he dwells in, it is, but overall, it's not popular. And he still wants acceptance, beyond just a couple fringes online. So it's same with Donald Trump, that they still want to kind of be liked. So here, let's go to the article, Colin. Here is a little bit of a clue or a little bit of an indication that maybe all of the unpopularity that Elon Musk has accumulated, all the people not buying Teslas, his stock going down, people just like not liking him, people abandoning his Twitter because he turned it into a Nazi hangout. Maybe it's working. Elon Musk signals retreat from politics. I think I've done enough. Elon Musk on Tuesday hinted he could be much less involved in politics by the time the next election cycle rolls around, at least financially. President Donald Trump spent much of the first few months of his second term with Musk closely by his side. The tech billionaire reportedly donated more than $270 million to Trump's campaign. Nothing shady about that at all. And has spent millions more on a number of other elections across the country. Despite assurances to the contrary, Musk is also widely viewed as the face of Trump's so-called Department of Governmental Efficiency, or DOGE, which, by the way, is a completely made-up new department that has authority that Donald Trump just made up and gave that authority to Elon Musk, somebody no one voted for. No one voted for Elon Musk. In recent weeks, however, Musk seemed to take a back seat with Trump's cabinet. The Tesla founder has even expressed disagreements with the president on a number of key issues, including tariffs. The best we can hope for is that the narcissistic stew starts to boil over. I've been saying that for a long time. The best thing we can hope for is that the narcissistic stew starts to boil over. That is the best thing we can hope for. So, yeah, we need that to happen. We need the narcissistic stew to start boiling over. And hopefully that's happening. Hopefully that's starting to happen. I don't know. But yeah. So here we go. Here we go. Maybe at least Elon Musk is going to be out of the area for a little bit. And before we get to the next story here, we want to highlight a little bit of some of Status Coups on the ground work. Ashley has been on the ground a lot. Colin has a video compiled here for you. By the way, please do like this stream. Make sure you subscribe, by the way. Leave a super chat. I'll get to all of them at the end. We got a couple more stories coming your way. For those of you just tuning in, I'm Ron Placone. I'm filling in for Jordan Cheriton. And in the meantime, we're going to go make a little quick detour here, and we're going to watch a video of Ashley's on the ground coverage before we get to our next story. Don't go anywhere.
I learned just a few months ago that Delaney Hall was opening up here. It's a 1,100 bed facility where people are being detained without due process. As someone that swore to uphold and defend the Constitution, I believe that can't stand. I mean, you can smell from the air over here that this is a place where environmental racism is happening. One thing that I remember distinctly from my time in the military were places where there were burn pits, and the smell is not too different from over here. It's sad that a lot of people in the Ironbound and this part of Newark have to live with the effects of these kinds of chemicals and disastrous environmental policies. So in addition to protesting against Delaney Hall, I just want people to know that there's so many bigger issues that are connected to this one thing. You've seen the planes flying overhead. It used to be their policy that they dump fuel on these neighborhoods. 1 in 4 black kids here has asthma, amongst a trove of other health problems. So, in addition to the crime that is this concentration camp, I hope people will also realize that there's a lot of environmental problems here that also have to be fought for.
Those people are kind of trapped in there with that, also, being not just imprisoned there, but also subject to the everything that comes with being in a sacrifice zone and the detrimental health effects of that.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. In that sense, it's a compounded injustice. There's no other way to describe it.
So there you go. Here at Status Coup, we are bringing you firsthand coverage that basically no one else is doing. I mean, we were the only network. We were the only network that was at the UAW strike every single day. We have covered over 100 Palestine protests for Palestine. And we covered East Palestine. We were on the ground in Flint. Jordan's wrote a book on Flint. Tina Desiree Berg has been on the ground in Northern California covering the lithium explosion that got basically no coverage from the corporate media. So please, if you are able, Status Coup. Man, you see it. It doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, this software. I always point out how this software looks weird. Anyway, statuscoup.com/join. If you are able, please do consider becoming a member. And by the way, you're not just supporting on the ground journalism. You're also getting some cool stuff back. We do members calls. We do different virtual events. It's a lot of fun. I'm talking to Jordan to see if maybe we can do some fun stuff in the future. That was really vague. Fun stuff in the future. Take the pitch for what it's worth. Fun stuff in the future. Rod said so. Where's the fun future stuff? I'm a member now. Become a member and say, where's the fun future stuff? Ron sent me. All right. Let's go to the next story here. Let's go to Trump and his self-deporting flights. Trump is the self-deporting flights are happening. For those of you who don't recall what this refers to, Trump developed a self-deport deal where basically if you were not here legally or deemed to not be here legally, you could deport yourself, and they would give you $1,000, and they would just send you back to your home country. It's very gross, very barbaric, and absolutely disgusting. But let's go ahead and go to the article here. So this is the first flight has left, and this is from yesterday. This really does like this whole every single story we've done just sounds like something out of a dystopian novel. I know I keep repeating that, but it's just so bizarre how it's just eerie. So the first flight leaves the U.S. under Trump's $1,000 self-deport deal. The Trump administration's first charter flight for dozens of self-deporting immigrants took off from Houston early Monday, part of a new program offering them a free trip back home and $1,000 or else. How kind. Why it matters. The self-deportation flights are one of the few incentives for unauthorized immigrants to present themselves to authorities under President Trump's immigration crackdown, which is long on sticks and short on carrots. The self-deportation program was announced in March. Since then, the administration has paid for tickets for some people to return to their home countries on commercial airliners. For those who are unauthorized and either don't turn themselves in or don't agree to self-deport, the alternative is being detained by immigration officials and held, possibly for months, in overcrowded facilities. Wow. You know what would be kind of funny? You know what would be kind of funny if a bunch of people just went into this website and just listed the country that their ancestors are from, and and wanted to get flown there with $1,000. Don't actually do that. I'm kidding, but I mean it would be kind of funny as like some kind of symbolic protest if a bunch of people go like, "Hey, my heritage is Italian American. If you fly me to Italy and give me $1,000, I'll do everything I can to stay there." It would be fun. I'm not trying to make light of it, but it would be kind of like an interesting way to overwhelm the website and potentially help some of the people who are victimized by this. I don't know. I'm all about like e-activism. You know, I don't know if that would actually work. Don't actually try that. I'm just yeah. But yeah, just kind of spitball it. So that's happening. He is literally they're just quote unquote rounding people up. Like that is what is happening. And they have sent people to El Salvador who should not have been sent to El Salvador. They're doing nothing about it. They're thumbing their nose at the courts even. I mean, this is a coup. This is a coup. And now they're just, by the way, planes are crashing all the time. We don't even have sound air traffic control, but he's just flying people back home and giving them $1,000 saying, "Get out of here." Oh man, this is unreal. This is unreal. So let's go to Bernie Sanders. Let's go ahead and go to Bernie Sanders. We'll go straight to Bernie, Colin. So Bernie was on a podcast recently, and he was encouraged to be critical of the Democratic Party, and I felt like they kind of prodded him a little bit, but they got there. Let's go to the interview.
The problem I think a lot of voters had is like they didn't even know if it was her. We didn't even know if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points, and we felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
I donated for you. I mean, I wanted you to, like, 2016, I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it. And it felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported them.
Look, but you have, in the world that I live in, you got a choice. And I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But, you know, you're down to a choice. Is it going to be Hillary Clinton or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great choice.
But it ended up being him anyway, so why don't we burn it down?
Well, because it's easy to say burning it down means that children are not going to have, food to eat, that the schools will deteriorate, people will not have health care.
I got it.
And I'm an elected official. I got to represent the people.
That's fair.
And I can't turn my back on.
But then could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear.
Fair enough. That is, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that.
So he didn't disagree. I mean, he didn't straight up say. I mean, when that headline hit, they made it seem as if Bernie said that. He didn't say that, but he didn't disagree. I think deep down he wants to say stuff like that. I really do. But just a couple things for conversation's sake here. I understand the point that when you're an elected official, you do need to represent all the people. I do get that. Like, whenever you cast a vote, whenever you make an endorsement or anything like that, you have to think beyond just your own personal principles, because that's just part of what it means to be an elected official. So you have to take into account, or at least you should. I mean, a lot don't. But you should take into account what what the electorate wants, what your constituents want, et cetera, et cetera. I get that. However, I think there's a case to be made. And again, I mean, what benefit, like, what value is there in rehashing stuff, that happened so many years ago? But I would make the argument that those rules kind of go out the window when the primary was tainted. Those rules apply when there is a fair primary. So what I mean by that is, okay, if Bernie just straight up lost in the 2016 primary, if Bernie just straight up, it was just he lost, then I get it. You got to the majority of people wanted Clinton, whatever. So he's just kind of got to go along with it. But when it was so clear that the thumb was on the scale for Hillary, that the superdelegates messed with everything, that there were states where Bernie actually won, but she still got more delegates because of the superdelegates, and people were just watching going, what the hell? How is this possible? We didn't know it worked this way, because the Democratic Party just makes up these ridiculous rules to basically make sure progressives or lefties can never get power. So I feel like that is when those rules no longer apply. And yeah, do I wish that Bernie Sanders would have just went rogue and run as an independent or run as a green? Yeah, part of me does. What would have happened? I don't know. I wish he would have done that. Yeah. It's not part of me does. I just do. But I don't know what would have happened. Would he have won? I don't know. But I do know when people say, oh, he just would have been Ralph Nader. That I strongly disagree with. And the reason I disagree with that, because Ralph Nader, and this isn't a diss on Ralph Nader, it's just a fact, Ralph Nader didn't have a movement behind him anytime he ran for president. Ralph Nader was not filling up arenas during his primary run. That wasn't happening for Ralph Nader. Bernie was in the right place at the right time. And it really just, this is a bad analogy, but lit a fire under the electorate and under the American people. And people were thirsty for a true populist turn. And because that was denied to them, they fell for a fake populist one instead. People wanted a real populist left turn. They got a fake populist right one. I say fake populist right one because right-wing populism isn't a thing. Read the book, The People Know by Thomas Frank. Learn about what the history of populism actually is and realize that right-wing populism, not a thing. It isn't real. It's just a bastardization of a bunch of ideas. And oftentimes it's just a shield for to try to get working class people to vote against their own interests and turn against their own interests. So yeah. But I don't know what made me go off on all that. I think the Bernie thing. So And then in 2020, you just had this clown car of candidates. And what were they trying to do? They were trying to just make sure that the vote was split enough so that Bernie couldn't win. And that's why they all dropped out at the same time. They did everything they could to split the vote 20 different ways, all dropped out at the same time, all got behind Biden because they had tried multiple times to shove someone else down everybody's throats. People weren't buying it. First, they tried Kamala, didn't work. Then they tried Buttigieg, it didn't work. Then they tried Kamala again. Well, they tried Warren at some point in there, it didn't work. So they said, okay, that's it. You're getting Biden. We're going to get behind Biden. People like him in the Beltway. He's going to be able to pull this off. He might be able to beat Trump. And we'll see what happens next. So, and that's what happened. So they are right. There has not been an honest primary since 2008. In 2008, there was a straight up honest primary. And what happened in 2008? Barack Obama won in a landslide. In a landslide, Barack Obama won. Now, we all know how he ended up governing, but he ran on a platform of hope and change. Didn't deliver it, but ran on it. And he won in a freaking landslide. So it's almost like when Democrats have an honest primary and actually have a candidate that the people are inspired by and the people truly want, they usually win. So why don't they do that all the time? Why aren't they actually Democratic? Well, because the donor class controls both parties. Wall Street pretty much runs both parties. So Democrats, if they can beat Republicans, that's great. But their first priority is not winning. Their first priority is making sure those donors are happy and making sure Wall Street is happy. And if they can beat a Republican within those confines, great. If they can't, well, then they're just going to have to lose and fundraise for 4 freaking years. And this system is an electoral rot. And it is why we are an oligarchy. And it is why we don't have any of the amenities other industrialized places in the world have. Because this is our politics. And it's set up by design. And they really want you to blame scapegoats. They really want you to blame the person who voted third party, or blame the person, or blame the immigrant, or blame the trans person, or blame the gay person, or blame the black person, or blame whoever else. Blame the woman. Blame, you get it. I don't need to keep naming groups of people. Blame the socialist. Blame the communist. Blame, yeah. You get it. Blame the people who don't want war. Blame the protesters. Blame, yeah. That's what they want. They want you to wag your finger there, instead of looking at the system that's really screwing over all of us. All of us. And I think deep down, Bernie realizes that. I really do. I think deep down he knows that. But I also think that Bernie, and look, Bernie's done plenty of things that have frustrated me. And I think deep down, he just did what he thought was the best he could do with where he's at. He chose to be an elected official. He knew what he was going into. And he said, I'm going to try to do the best I can in this situation and try to, basically try to turn the machine against itself. I think that's the case for people like Bernie Sanders. I think that's the case for Ilhan Omar. I think that's the case for Rashida Tlaib. I think that's the case for Dennis Kucinich, going further back. I think that's the case for Jim McDermott when he was in office. There's a handful of people, lefties, that actually got into office, which, usually when a lefty gets into office, it's a mistake. A mistake was made by somebody who is more powerful. But I do think that there have been people throughout the electoral system in the United States that have genuinely tried to kind of use the office for good. And by the way, there's ways you can do that, especially at the state level or the local level again. But I do think there are people even serving now but kind of fall into that category. I really want to believe that AOC is that way too. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I really want to believe that she is. There are times where I think she is. There are other times where I'm not sure. I'm just like, I kind of feel like she's an opportunist. I hope that's not the case. I really do. I was at the End the Oligarchy event. I heard her speak. I don't know. I'll put it this way. I'm definitely more on board with Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Bernie Sanders, than I am AOC, as far as I think they're genuinely trying to to help us out, basically. They're genuinely trying to use the office for good the best they can. Doesn't mean I agree with everything they do, but I think they are trying to use the office in a positive direction. So interesting soundbite by Bernie. Interesting soundbite. And speaking of interesting sound bites, let's go to the Columbia president, and then we're going to go to the RFK story. But let's go to the Columbia University president here. Keep in mind a little bit of a backdrop before we dive into it. Students have been denied their diplomas in some cases for speaking out for Palestine. They have been brutalizing protesters. We covered a story here on Status Coup where the doors were kicked in of protesters at their home. There was no warrant. There was no reason. It was a blatant violation of their Fourth Amendment rights. And that's been happening to college students. You have people literally at my old alma mater, Indiana University, where I went to college, at the same place where I was protesting against Iraq, where I protested against Iraq. There were people standing on buildings pointing guns at students all these years later. Well, not that many years later. I should have said all these years. That's making me feel old now. And I said that too, by the way. All these years later, protesting for Palestine, and a gun is being pointed at them. That's where we're living now, y'all. That's where we're living. And so this happened to the university acting president. By the way, I'm surprised NBC is reporting this, so that's kind of cool, I guess. Let's go to the article, Colin. Columbia University's acting president heckled with boos and shouts of free Mahmoud during graduation speech. The chants were in reference to Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate student who was detained in March by ICE. So Columbia University acting president Claire Shipman was met with loud boos and chants to free Mahmoud as she took the stage at a graduation ceremony Tuesday morning. Social media videos and the school ceremony recording showed Shipman walking to the lectern to speak at Columbia College's graduation ceremony. The cheers and applause, however, were quickly overshadowed. Can we watch the video? Do we have the video, Colin? Can we watch that video? I kind of like it when people get booed for good reason. I'm a fan. Do we have the video or no? It's okay if we don't.
Is the video in the article here?
Me, we can't hear you. Are you?
Can you hear me now?
I thought it was. I can't tell.
I
can hear you
just
now.
looking here. No, that's something different.
We'll picture of her and we'll boo it. We'll reenact it for the.
Usually they have little hyperlink in the text. Oh. Let's see if we can grab something. Oh yeah, here, let me share the audio. Also share. Bear with me one moment. There we go.
While we're waiting, feel free to leave a super chat, share the stream. You know the drill. Press the like button.
Claire Shipman.
Thank you. Good morning, class of 2025. I know that many of you feel Good morning, class of 2025. I know that many of you feel some amount of frustration with me.
Oh, you think?
And I know you feel it with the administration.
You think so?
And I know we have a strong, strong tradition of free speech at this university. And I am always open to feedback, which I am getting right now. The work of your generation will be to shape these interesting times, to define the values.
Wow. Mahmoud. Okay, I was mispronouncing his name. Mahmoud. At least she doesn't interrupt them. I will give her that. All right, I think that's good. We get it. Yeah, we can call it. Yeah. You gotta love that. I like how she's basically saying, hey, it's up to you to be less shitty than us. It's up to, I'm just gonna do what I'm told and collect my paycheck and retire as soon as I can. But you guys, it's up to you to try to bring about a better world. So good luck with that. I'm bailing out. I'm a university president. I get paid mountains of money. Screw you. Good for them. Good for them. And good for Gen Z for taking no shit. Gen Z takes no shit, and I'm here for it. They do not take any shit. And I like it. I freaking like it. All right. There we go. So before we go to our last story today, which is about RFK and how he's a eugenicist, let's go to some of the newest Substack of Ashley. Ashley has a deep dive Substack report on the new Gilded Age, and also some more on the ground reporting. So let's go ahead and play a clip of that, as well as show the Substack that Jordan left, Colin. And be sure to hit the like button, and please do leave a super chat. I'll get to all of them. Can't hear you.
Sorry. Did you want the clip or the article first?
Either one. Just show the Substack, play the clip. You know, we want people to know what's going on the ground in Status Coup, because I am not on the ground at the moment, y'all. I'm in studio. We do stuff in studio and on the ground, but the on the ground stuff, that's the meat and potatoes of what we do here at Status Coup. I'm the whipped cream, or I don't know. I'm a cherry, or I don't know. I don't have a good analogy for this. Colin, quick, get to the thing.
One second. Suddenly it's not letting me screen share, so give me just a moment. Working? I'm gonna try one more time, and then we'll just do the video while I figure. Oh, there we go.
There we go. So this is the deep dive Substack that Ashley has been curating and creating. And then we have a quick snippet for you of some of our on the ground footage here. Here at Status Coup, on the ground journalism is what sets us apart. It is our main mission here. We do on the ground journalism, and then of course we curate other content from it here in studio. We do that pretty often here, and that's a big part of what we do. But the thing about on the ground journalism is it takes resources, it takes travel, it takes equipment, it takes lodging, it takes food when you're on the road. It is not a cheap thing to do. So if you can, please do become a member. StatusCoup.com/join. There are different membership levels at the $5 a month and $10 a month level. And your membership is helping to support on the ground journalism. And you get to have a lot of fun too. There's members calls. There's other kind of cool things. There's members content that are just for members. I remember me and Johnny F. when we were in Chicago, we tried some Chicago cuisine together. I introduced him to some Chicago cuisine that I was familiar with, and we did some fun members videos out of it. It was a good time. All right, let's go to those videos, Colin, and then we'll get to our last story here.
That's disheartening, but it's all the more reason why we need to be out here and we need to be watching. And that's kind of the other idea is that like they're not going to tell us what's going on inside. So we need to sit here and we need to watch. We need to see. We can actually walk to all the way to the back of their property on county property, and and see what's going on. So we can walk around a lot of the property. So and we have been. So and we're taking notes and we're seeing who's coming in, when they're coming in, how many people are coming in. We're here when they decide to arbitrarily end visitation for families. We're here when families are afraid to go up to the gate because of all these armed whatever, I don't know what they are, ICE agents, I guess, that are here. So yeah, there's this kind of a multitude of reasons and purposes for us to be here, but
well, we appreciate you guys conducting like citizen oversight on the facility.
Yeah, well, like they won't let the Congress people in, and they won't let the mayor in. So, we're going to do what we can. The other thing is, as long as they're sitting here looking at us and defending this, they can't be in the neighborhood. So we see that as a win.
So there you have it, statuscoup.com/join. Let's go ahead to our final story of the day. This concerns RFK. Now, you guys know I am no fan of RFK. RFK has no medical degree, no medical qualifications whatsoever. He is trained as a lawyer, yet he is leading health in this country, and he is a straight-up eugenicist. That's not an embellishment. That's not a troll. That's not a hyperbole. That is definitionally what he is. The man is a eugenicist. The fact that a eugenicist is anywhere near a position of authority in health in the year 2025 is beyond frightening. It is absolutely beyond frightening. And let's go ahead and look into this. Let's go ahead and look into this story. And by the way, for some of you who say you're on RFK's side on certain things, I'm going to pose some questions to you, and I'm curious what your answers are going to be, because I got some questions for you as we go through this. Because I'll even give you a little bit of leeway and say like, okay, that's fine. We don't agree, but that's fine. But let me pose this to you. Because a lot of people say that RFK is going up against Big Pharma. I don't think he is. I don't think he is at all, actually. But let's get into this first. And then I'll explain. And as we unfold this, I'll explain why. So RFK Jr.'s FDA severely restricts COVID vaccine use. The vaccine will only be available to those at high risk from COVID, excluding those who may need it to protect a relative or friend. The Food and Drug Administration has approved the Novavax COVID-19 vaccine with strict conditions. Coming after 4 years of clinical trials, the vaccine will only be available for older adults and people over the age of 12 who have at least one medical condition that means they're at high risk from COVID, according to the New York Times. It's interesting because we still don't really know the long-term effects of COVID. We really don't. So it's interesting how they're saying, oh, just the people who are at risk. You mean every human? You mean like we don't know the long-term effects of this virus yet because it's only been so many years, and there's millions of cases of long COVID in the United States. Advisors at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have been debating whether to recommend COVID vaccines for only the most vulnerable. The decision to restrict who can access the Novavax vaccine would appear to resolve the question, at least in part. The restrictions mean that healthy adults under the age of 65 who may want the vaccine for reasons other than their own health, to protect an immunocompromised friend or relative, for example, will not be able to get the Novavax vaccine. It also leaves those same people vulnerable if a more virulent strain of COVID comes along. Critics have expressed concern that the restrictions reflect Health Secretary RFK's vaccine skepticism. Why can't they just say anti-vaxxer? Why do they? He is an anti-vaxxer. Why can't they just say that? I mean, I find that so frustrating. Like why, if those are your views, why don't you just embrace it? Like, why don't you just say anti-vax? Like, because he'll say he's not an anti-vaxxer. He also said he's not coming after vaccines. Clearly, that was a lie. And by the way, measles are back. Let's see. One ousted FDA vaccine chief describing Kennedy's tenure thus far as very scary. The vaccine was previously only authorized for emergency use, whereas vaccines developed by Pfizer and Moderna were granted full approval by the FDA in 2022. Both of these companies are currently developing updated versions of their vaccines for the fall. The New York Times spoke to Dr. Camille Cotton, an infectious disease physician and former CDC advisor, who said that the decision to restrict access was incredibly disappointing. I don't know how they would make this restriction. I don't know of any indication to make this change. Cotton, who cares for immunocompromised patients at Massachusetts General Hospital, added, "This is a dark day in American medicine," which is putting it gently. So here's the deal. Now, first of all, this piece is from the Daily Beast, which I'm generally not a big fan of, but, I will give them kudos for publishing this. Not a big fan of the Daily Beast overall, though. RFK, like, if you don't want to get a COVID shot, don't get one. That's fine. No one's like, you don't have to get one. But when COVID was going on, people were always talking about the right to a choice. So why does RFK get to make that choice for people? RFK, why does RFK get to make the choice for people and say, you can't have Novavax? Even if you choose to get it, if you want to get it, we're all about medical choice. We're all about body autonomy, unless you make a decision we don't agree with. So what gives RFK that right? And by the way, you might be wondering, and this is for I like RFK because he's going after Big Pharma. First of all, let's define what Big Pharma is. Big Pharma is not a medical degree, which, by the way, something RFK doesn't have. Big Pharma is a business degree. And if you can't tell the difference, if you don't understand the difference, and a lot of people don't, but you should really learn that difference before you go tweeting buzzwords that you heard someone else say on some YouTube show that they're probably saying for clicks. So, what gives him that right? And here's the deal. Novavax, the reason Novavax is treated differently is because Novavax doesn't lobby as hard as the other pharmaceutical companies. There's actually a lot of studies out there that Novavax is the best one as far as preventing transmission and making symptoms lessen. And again, look, these vaccines are definitely not 100% at preventing transmission. They're just not. I would argue there are even better tools available to be COVID cautious, such as air filtration, masking, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to get into some big, long COVID talk right now. But anyway, the reason Novavax is not treated as well as the other vaccines is because they don't lobby as hard. There's actually a lot of studies that it is the best one. Also, it's a different type of vaccine in the way it's made, so it typically gives people less side effects. I personally, I've gotten the COVID vaccine, I've gotten a Novavax, and when I got my first COVID shot, I had a lot of side effects. I just kind of like felt really lousy for like the night. Then I woke up and I was fine. So I shouldn't say a lot of side effects, but I kind of felt lousy for a little while, and then I felt fine. But with the Novavax, I didn't have any side effects. So anyway, and now RFK Jr. is deciding for people whether or not they get to have that. And the reason Novavax is singled out is because they don't lobby. That's why. So this guy, this RFK that you guys say, he's standing up to Big Pharma. Is he? Sounds like he's kowtowing to Big Pharma. Sounds like he's kissing Big Pharma's ass. Because he's basically saying, Novavax doesn't lobby as hard, so we're going to restrict that vaccine. And by the way, there's not a huge demand for these vaccines. There's not like it's about what, like 20-25% of Americans are getting them. And I'm not here to tell you you should or shouldn't. That's not my place. Talk to your doctor. What I will say is that somebody who wants it, Novavax or whatever else, should have the right to get it. And the fact that RFK is infringing on that right, that thumbs in the nose of medical choice, which he claims to be about. He claims to be about medical choice. Well, how is that a choice? Choice means you can either get something or not. Not, well, you can't get something because of a bunch of pseudoscience nonsense, and because of, ironically enough, Big Pharma. So here is RFK kissing Big Pharma's ass by going after Novavax, the company that lobbies the least. So, and I'm not sticking up for any of these companies, by the way. I think it's absolutely repulsive that these companies have vaccine apartheid, and we're holding these recipes, and we're not giving the recipes to places that needed it. I do think that when injuries happen, I do think these companies should be responsible. Abso-frickin-lutely. I agree on that point. But on the same note, what I don't agree with is a eugenicist deciding what COVID shots people can and can't get at the behest of Big Pharma. So for some of you RFK fans, curious your response to that. How do you respond to that? Why is he singling out Novavax? What's the reason? This guy who's standing up against Big Pharma, what's his reason? Why Novavax? Novavax is actually the types of vaccines he's supposed to be okay with, right? Because I think Novavax isn't the type that he has a big problem with. So if anything, why wouldn't he be more okay with Novavax, unless it has nothing to do with anything at all? And yes, he is a eugenicist. This man is in charge of health. He has no qualifications whatsoever. And he literally, in front of Congress, gave eugenic theories to, I forget the official's name, but it was a black woman in Congress. He said to her face, straight up, eugenic theories about how black kids and white kids should get different vaccines. He has said, he has spread dangerous conspiracy theories about how COVID was engineered to spare certain types of Jews. This is eugenics nonsense. This is anti-science eugenics nonsense. And I think a lot of people don't even realize how dangerous the stuff he says is, because most of the time when he talks, you can only get every third word, because whenever he speaks, he sounds like he's trying to go down on a driveway. So you can't even make out what he's saying 90% of the time. But when you can, it's like, this is eugenics. And I don't even think he realizes that's what he's doing. I honestly don't even think that. I think that he just doesn't realize it. He's just susceptible. He doesn't have a medical degree. He has a law degree, and he has a lot of time on his hands. It's like what Bill Burr said to Bill Maher. Bill, you're not smart. You just know a lot of obscure shit. That's the case for this guy. He has a lot of time to sift through a bunch of studies that he doesn't understand, and then stuff's explained to him, and he still doesn't understand, and then he listens to people who have a certain agenda, and that's what he's all about. And he is in a position of power when it comes to health, which is freaking frightening. And we are basically saying to disabled people, screw you, you don't get a quality of life. You don't deserve a quality of life. If you are disabled, you don't deserve a quality of life. If you are immunocompromised, you don't deserve a quality of life. And this goes beyond just this news. I mean, this is just more and more of what this guy is doing. This is the same guy who said he wants autistic people and ADHD people to go to a camp. I'm ADHD. He thinks I belong in a camp. And, the road to fascism is paved with a bunch of people telling you you're overreacting. Don't forget that. The road to fascism is paved with a bunch of people telling you you're overreacting. RFK Jr. is a eugenicist. That's not an embellishment. He is a eugenicist. And also, by the way, if we want to get into some other issues, he likes genocide. He's a big fan of genocide. He called Palestinians the most pampered people on earth. He's been a right-wing Democrat his entire freaking career, never missed an opportunity to endorse a Clinton, is against universal health care. He's in charge of health. He's against universal health care. He's for eugenicists. He has no plan for the working class because he can't even imagine what life is like for the working class. The fact that he made it to that hearing was nothing short of criminal. And the fact that he got voted in is just beyond. Every day you should wake up and go, a eugenicist is in charge of health in the United States. Every freaking day. And I'm not going to be quiet about that. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. And for those of you defending him, what do you have to say to this? What do you have to say? First of all, if you're all about medical freedom and body autonomy, what right does he have to tell somebody they can't get a Novavax? You don't want to get one, don't get one. That's fine. Don't get one. Who are you to tell anyone else they can't? Who is he to tell anyone else they can't? And why is it Novavax? We know why. I just told you why. It's because RFK is kissing Big Pharma's ass. Because he's not an outsider. He's a shill. He's a eugenicist. He's a shill. And he's a narcissist who was just looking for his 15 minutes of fame, and now he got it. He did some good environmental legal work back in the past, but that wasn't enough for him. That wasn't enough for him. He didn't want to be. He was too much in the shadows of some of his other family members. So he needed to cling to this pseudoscience nonsense, and now he's getting his 15 minutes. But how much damage is he going to do in the meantime? How much damage? Because we already got measles back. We got measles back. And now, the most effective COVID shot, at least a lot of studies indicate the most effective COVID shot, well, not everyone can get it now. Even if you want it, you can't get it. The guy, by the way, he said he wasn't going to do this. He's like, hey, I'm not gonna infringe on your vaccines. You get, if you want it, go get it. Oh, that was a lie. That was a lie. So there you go. There you go. All right, y'all. So those are our stories for today. We're going to get to the chat in a little bit. I will make a couple announcements. First of all, I'm going to get to see some of you this weekend. I certainly hope so, at least. I will be in Seattle, Washington this Friday night. Seattle this Friday. RonPlacone.com for tickets. Going to be doing a stand-up show up in Seattle. It's been a while since I've been in Seattle. Yeah, it'll be cool to see. So I have had Status Coup fam at all of my shows since 2022. Since 2022, Status Coup fam has been at all of my shows. So don't let me down. Don't let me down. I got to see some Status Coup fam in Seattle. You can get tickets at ronplacone.com. And y'all, this is something I'm doing this year. If times are tough and finances are rough, let me know and we'll get it figured out. Don't worry about it. If you want to come to the show, but funds are tight, we will get that situated. Just email me. No questions asked. I'm not going to quiz you or anything. Just say, hey, Ron, I really want to come to your show, but funds are really tight and we will make it happen. Don't worry. I want people to be able to come to my show, even if they do not have the funds for a ticket. And you guys probably know this already, but I will just reiterate that I try to keep my ticket prices as low as I possibly can. The thing is that touring, there are costs involved, including venue costs. So, only so much of that is even in my hands, but I keep my prices as low as I possibly can. But I know that times are tough for people. So if you do want to attend, but times are tough, please let me know. And you can just go to my website, ronplacone.com, and email me. Also, Los Angeles, my play termination fee, which is a scathing commentary on the American healthcare system. Very timely right now, by the way. Termination fee is launching as part of the Hollywood Fringe Festival here in Los Angeles. June 8th, June 16th, June 21st, June 24th, and June 29th are the dates there. The times vary. We have some night shows, some matinee shows. So check ronplacone.com for all those details. Tickets to that are pay what you can. So we got pay what you can tickets there. So, hey, if times are tough, you don't need to email me in this case. Just put $0. If times are tough, I mean, the suggested is $10, but if times are really tough, just put $0. I want you to come to the show. So ronplacone.com for those tickets. And if you're not in Seattle or Los Angeles, or even if you are, check out my movie Left at Wall. You can check out my movie Left at Wall right here on YouTube. You don't even need to leave YouTube. You can rent it on YouTube. You can also check it out at Apple TV. You can check it out on Google Play. You can check it out on Xbox. You can buy it on DVD. You can get it on Amazon. I'm not a big fan of Amazon, but for some people, I know that's like the easiest way for you to get movies. So it is available on Amazon. So wherever you get it, it's fine. Anywhere you get it is fine. Just check it out. Left at Wall. That is Left at Wall. And if you're not sure where to get it or where the best place is for you, you just go to my website. There's a tab dedicated to Left at Wall. So ronplacone.com. And you can find out where to watch Left at Wall. Please do watch my movie. It took us 4 years to make it. It is a very, very fun indie comedy that calls out the Wall Street machine using the GameStop incident as a backdrop, but the story is completely fictional. It's a really fun movie. Some great comics are in it. Check it out, ronplacone.com. All right. In Seattle, see you Friday. Hollywood Fringe, see you throughout June. Los Angeles, and yeah. And shout out to our new member, Nimrod, which is a name of a really cool Green Day album. Thank you, Nimrod, for becoming part of the Status Coup fam. That was from Colin there. Shout out to our new member, Nimrod, which, by the way, fun Green Day album. Very fun Green Day album. Let's go to the comments, Colin. What's up, Gile de Brouwer? Is that right? I don't know why I did like a Gile de Brouwer. I if I'm saying that wrong, I really do apologize, and I probably am. Became a member, level status cool. Thank you so much, Gile, and feel free to correct my pronunciation. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Emily, what's up? Good to see you. Thank you for being a member for 20 months at the Fight the Power level. I had to get a new credit card because someone stole my info in order to buy groceries. Oh, I'm so sorry. People are committing credit card fraud in order to eat. WTF. I know. That's so freaking sad. I mean, I'm sorry you're going through that, and I'm sorry that somebody had to do that. I mean, it's so sad. I mean, yeah, we're hearing more and more stories of people just stealing food because they're just like, what choice do I have? I mean, if you're in a situation where your kids go hungry if you don't steal food, what are you going to do? I'm going to steal the food. If I had kids and, like they're going to go hungry and my only option, because I have no money or whatever, my only option is to steal food. I'm going to that grocery store and I'm stealing food. Like what are you going to do? You're going to let your kids starve? By the way, I think it's Italy. There's actually a law in Italy. There's a law in Italy that you can technically steal food if you have no choice. I don't know how they enforce that law. Like, how do you enforce that law? Because if somebody's stealing, obviously you're going to stop them. And then, I didn't have a choice. Like, how do you prove that? Like, they look at your bank account, and if it's zero, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. How do they? But apparently that is a law there. That if you are desperate and you have no choice and starvation was the other option, you are legally protected if you steal food. Again, I don't know how they enforce that, but I don't know. Tony, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. And shout out to Tony D's music channel too, and Tony D himself. Jordan's family is really lovely. Much love to them. Ron, I appreciate your plain speaking about RFK. He is dangerous. How do we axe Don? Not violently. Thank you for that qualifier, Tony D, because had you not included that, we might have been demonetized for the stream. That's a great question. I mean, I don't know. I think the best thing we can do is kind of just rally in our communities and rally in our communities and just try to build local power the best we can so that we are as immune to what's going on federally as we possibly can be. I mean, really, that's the best thing we can do. I don't see Donald Trump going away early. What's up, Emily? You are back. If every single person who voted third party had instead voted for Kamala, she still would have lost. Yes, that is very true. She still would have lost even if you gave every third party vote to her. And honestly, Hillary would have too. I mean, whenever they blamed third party voters for Hillary in 2016, that assumed that every third party voter would have voted for Hillary. So it assumes that every Gary Johnson vote would have been for Hillary, which is highly unlikely. It's interesting how they only talk about it one way. They never blame the libertarians for taking votes away from Republicans, but they blame Greens and whoever else for quote unquote taking votes away from Democrats. Also in 2000, where they blame Ralph Nader for Al Gore. Here's the big stick in that one. There's actually a bunch of exit polls that indicate a lot of Nader voters, most of them would have either stayed home if Nader wasn't on the ballot, or if they would have voted for someone else, yeah, they would have voted for Al Gore. Or guess what? They would have voted for Bush if Nader wasn't on the ballot. So there's actually some exit polls out there that indicate Al Gore would have done even worse if Ralph Nader wasn't on the ballot in Florida. Another side note, guess who voted for George W. Bush in Florida? Thousands of Democrats. So Democrats, you're blaming the third party. Meanwhile, you're not even cleaning up your own street. Your own party was voting for Bush because they just viewed Gore as such an underwhelming candidate. So guess what? You can't even get your own party in line, and you're blaming Ralph Nader? So thank you for your insights there, Emily. And you are 110% right. Emily, what's up? The first recorded strike in European history happened in ancient Rome. The plebs got mad at the Senate, so they all left the city and refused to return until the Senate would meet their demands. We should take a lesson from that history and have an have a general strike. I don't know why I just said Elon there. An Elon strike was what I was about to say, which I guess is technically part of the general strike, but general strike is what I'm calling for. General strike. Super chat from Emily. Emily, thank you so much for all of your insights and generosity today. It is so appreciated. Weed and catnip fun. Thank you very much for that. And Lucy says meow. Lucy, so Tuesday is Lucy's favorite day because it is also laundry day where I'm at. I do my laundry and then I talk to you guys. So it's like I'm airing out my laundry in multiple ways. This is our opportunity to just go off on politics and have some catharsis. And also, it's literal laundry day, and my cat loves laying on top of the laundry pile. It's like her favorite thing. Just warm, fresh dried laundry. Yeah. By the way, Dave, I'm going to get to your super chat, but I can't really see the chat, but I see some things in fleeting. And Dave said that RFK is also a skeptic on germ theory, which is really freaking funny and a great play on words. And Dave, I'm jealous that I didn't come up with that. So kudos to you. Good job on that one, Dave. I love that. But here's your super chat. Dave says, good to see you, Dave, first of all. I think most of this anti-vax craziness is just people being afraid of needles. So where are the nasal vaccines? They've been in testing forever. Yeah, to answer that, I'm not sure. There has been a lot of positive studies, some of them from inside the U.S., that's saying these nasal vaxes are the way to go, that these nasal vaxes are the way to really prevent transmission. Because keep in mind, I mean, these COVID shots, they don't do a great job preventing transmission. They help, I mean, they do help. Just like other things helps, just like air filtration helps, just like a mask helps, just like spraying other types of sprays, nasal sprays and so forth, they all help. There's no one surefire thing. If you do this, you're totally great. And I think that's the reason for a lot of people's people being as reactionary as they've been. People wanted a full A or B answer. Either it's 100% or it's 0%. That's what people wanted. And people were very, very hyper dogmatic and very tribal about that. And so it's just like, well, either the vaccines are 100% or 0%. There's no in between. There's no in between. Either they're 100%, 0%. Either you are on team anti-vax or you are on team tell me what I need to do, Tony Fauci. And there is no in between. There is no, and by the way, both of those points of views, neither of them reflect me personally. I am actually not a big fan of Anthony Fauci because I think he puts capitalism above public health, and he always did. I also think that, when you say things like, oh, yeah, just get the shot and everything's fine. Well, that's very irresponsible because these shots did not prevent transmission and they never claimed to. If you actually read the piece of paper they gave to you, it said that. And the virus was mutating so fast that they just became worse at worse in preventing transmission because that's how viruses mutate. You guys know this, right? Viruses mutate by chance. So what happens is when a virus comes up against a wall given by a vaccine, it tries to just randomly mutate so that it can continue to survive. So when it has, either a person who is susceptible for whatever reason, then it mutates. So let's say the virus continues to mutate because only so many people are vaccinated in a way that stops transmission or just whatever else. Well, all of a sudden, that mutation might evade a certain vaccine because of the way it mutated. So, yeah, anyway. Zainab, what's up? The way my community rallied in London, Kentucky after this tornado was beautiful. Imagine if we all rallied together like this on everything. I hear you. I hear you. I mean, I have these moments. And first of all, Zainab, I'm very glad you're safe. I know there was a ridiculous tornado going through the Midwest. I'm sorry you were in the eye of it. But yeah, that was going down. And sometimes you see moments where just the way a community comes together is completely inspiring. It's amazing, and you really feel like we can do so much better than this. And we can, the people of the United States are a very wonderful people. When I air my grievances about the United States, I'm talking about the system. I'm not talking about the people. And I know y'all know that. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I always sometimes still feel the need to clarify there. I hate the system of the United States, and I can use the word hate there because that's accurate. I hate the economy of war. I hate the oligarchy. I hate capitalism. But I love the people. And I really do have some amount of hope in the in the strength of the American people. I know that sounds like a bit of a cliche, but I really do truly believe that. And Zainab, I'm glad you're doing better. And I'm glad you're okay. And I'm glad you are I'm glad that your community really came together for you. It's awesome to see. Pair character with lovey-dovey eyes blowing red hearts in the air. Love it. Thank you for that, Kimmy. I love those dancing pairs, Kimmy. You know it. I freaking love those dancing pairs. They're the best. They really are. So thank you for that. Thank you for the dancing pair. What else do we got, Colin? Is that all the supers?
That's all the super chats.
That's all the supers. That's all the supers. And for everyone, I know where is the show? Oh, someone's asking where the show is. Which one? The show in Seattle is at the Rendezvous, and all the information is on my website. And the shows in Hollywood are at the Black Box Theater at the Broadwater. There's 3 venues in the Broadwater, and we are in the Black Box Theater. The shows at the Hollywood Fringe Festival, it's actually not stand-up, it's a play. We're doing a stage play called Termination Fee, which is all about the healthcare system. If you like this show, you'll like the play, trust me. Yeah, so that's at the Black Box Theater at the Broadwater in Hollywood. And then my show in Seattle is at the Rendezvous. Yeah. So yeah, again, romplacone.com for all those tickets. And yeah, let's see. This administration is so dangerous in so many ways. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It really is. So yeah, some of you guys are Ask yourself, after we eliminate healthcare, housing, and food as critical costs, what becomes your priorities? Why are you letting politicians stopping you from dealing with those things? I don't think people are letting politicians stop them from dealing with those things. I think that because we don't have systems in place that allow those things to happen, uh, it's just a lot harder for people. I think that a lot of people, I mean, we don't have universal health care, so we have medical bankruptcies all the time. And we don't have, a universal system in place. So I think that's what it is. I don't think people are just like, they just don't care or whatever else. They just don't have, they just don't have any type of top bottom footing to make that happen. And sometimes you need some top bottom footing, i.e., with universal health care, i.e., how higher education is paid for. I think that Americans do a lot with what they're dealt with, and they do a lot locally, and they engage in their community the best they can. But there's so many systemic things. I mean, I love my neighborhood. I'll give you a for instance. I freaking love my neighborhood. And if my neighborhood was in a different country, I would never want to leave. you know, like I really love my neighborhood. Where I live here in Los Angeles. Someone asked how Lucy is doing. Lucy is doing. She's on top of a bunch of laundry. She is so happy right now. She's doing good. She'll be 19 in a couple weeks. We don't know exactly when Lucy was born because Lucy was a stray, and so she wandered into my house many years ago and never left. It'll be 19 years ago. But when I took her to the vet for the first time, it was in December because I was home from college. So I took her to the vet, and the vet speculated that she was about 6 months old. So I estimate that her birthday's in June. That's when I acknowledge her birthday. So next month, she will officially be 19 years old. So give your pets a pet for me, please. Whether it's a cat or dog or whatever else, give your pets a nice pet for Ron. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much for your membership. Thank you for your super chats. Again, to watch my movie, you can go to ronplacone.com, find out where to watch Left at Wall. And for tickets for Seattle and Los Angeles, ronplacone.com. I'll see you on Friday, Seattle, and I can't wait to see you. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting Status Coup. We could not do what we do without you. And this is Ron Placone on behalf of Status Coup, signing out.